You know that sick feeling when your entire bank account just disappears overnight? Now imagine being treated like a criminal when you ask for help. And then imagine hundreds of strangers suddenly tearing that same bank apart online, all because of you. Yeah, I'm Alina. And this is exactly what happened. If you've ever been ignored, disrespected, or talked down to by some arrogant company hiding behind policies and fake smiles, hit that like button and subscribe, because my revenge didn't just hit back. It went global. My name is Alina Ivanova, I'm 30 years old, and I learned the hard way that politeness is useless when someone thinks your voice doesn't matter. I didn't grow up spoiled or unprepared for the world. I was raised in St. Petersburg, the kind of place where winter teaches you to survive and bureaucracy teaches you to wait. You don't shout at a wall, you learn how to walk around it. Maybe that's why, for the first few weeks of this nightmare, I stayed calm. Maybe too calm. I've lived in the United States for almost 5 years now. Long enough to speak the language fluently, but apparently not long enough for some people to hear my name without raising their eyebrows. Still, I've built a decent life. I'm not rich, but I'm comfortable. I do contract work in digital design and UI/UX consulting, and I freelance for a few international clients. I'm careful with money, always have been. In Russia, you never know when the bank or the government or some mysterious system error will steal time or money from you. So you grow up cautious. That's probably the most ironic part of this story. I thought I was being smart by opening an account at a local credit union. I didn't want to deal with the big banks and their endless fees, so I went for something small, community-oriented, supposedly more human. I remember the day I opened the account, sunlight coming in through big windows, dusty fake plants in each corner, a bowl of stale mints on the counter. The woman who helped me open the account was named Sharon. Short, friendly, glasses on a chain, and the kind of voice that makes you think of warm tea and apologies for things that aren't her fault. I signed the forms, moved some of my savings in, set up direct deposit for a couple of clients, and walked out feeling like I'd made a practical decision. Nothing fancy. Nothing dramatic. I never imagined that a few months later, that same institution would lock every dollar I had and treat me like trash. The whole disaster started on a Friday morning. I hadn't slept much the night before. I was finishing a freelance project with a ridiculous deadline, and by the time I submitted it, the sun was already rising. I threw on jeans and a sweater and walked to the ATM a few blocks from my apartment. I needed cash for some errands and groceries. It was cold out but not unbearable, the kind of dull gray sky that promises rain but can't commit to it. My brain was foggy, my body was running on caffeine and autopilot. I slid my debit card into the ATM. It hummed, beeped, then spat the card back out like it tasted something foul. No error message. No decline explanation. Just rejection. I stared at the screen, confused. I tried again. Same result, card in, tiny pause, card out. A small part of me instantly worried, old childhood habits die hard. In Russia, if something stops working without explanation, it might not start working again, ever. But I told myself this was America, and things break here too, and it's usually not a conspiracy. The credit union branch was only a short walk from the ATM, so I went inside. The lobby was quiet, too quiet for a weekday morning. There were 2 clerks behind the counter. One was an older man typing slowly with his head down. The other, her name tag said Megan, was leaning on one arm, scrolling on her phone. Hair in a high ponytail, heavy eyeliner, lips too red for 9 a.m. I cleared my throat gently. "Excuse me?" She looked up with the expression people reserve for spam emails. "Yeah? My card isn't working at the ATM. It keeps ejecting it. I need to withdraw cash." She didn't apologize. Didn't ask my name. Didn't even pretend to check the system, she just said, use the manual code. I blinked. What code? Now came the eye roll. Slow, practiced, theatrical. She reached for a notepad, scribbled 6 numbers. And pushed the paper toward me with her fingertips like it was a damp tissue. Enter that at the ATM. It pulls directly from your account. I took the paper and said, thank you, even though my tongue protested. She was already looking at her phone again. Outside, I entered the code. The ATM accepted it, asked for my PIN, and let me withdraw the cash like nothing was wrong. A relay of thoughts started firing off in my head. Why had no one told me this feature existed? Why did she act like I was bothering her? But it was Friday, I was tired, and I had places to be. So I let it go. That I shouldn't have. The following Tuesday, I logged into my online banking to check my balance. Instead of numbers, I saw 3 words that made my stomach drop: account under review. No balance shown. No explanation. Just a sterile little phrase that felt like a locked door. At first, I thought maybe it was a glitch. I refreshed. Same message. I logged out and back in. Still there. I checked my email, expecting some kind of notice. Nothing. I felt a thin coil of anxiety wrap around my ribs. I called the customer support line listed on their website. After navigating the world's slowest automated menu, I was put on hold. 5 minutes. Then 8. Then 12. Finally, a woman picked up. She sounded like she'd rather be quietly dying than answering my call. Thank you for calling. This is Janice. I explained the message I saw and that I needed access to my account. She asked for my name and date of birth. I told her, Alina Ivanova, August 9, 1994. She hesitated, just for half a second, and then repeated my name back like it had splinters in it. Alina Ivanova? I said, Alina is fine. I heard her nails clicking against the keyboard. More silence. MHM. It looks like your account was flagged because of an accounting discrepancy. Meaning what, exactly? It means there was a delay in balance posting. Did I overdraft? No. Did I miss a payment? No, so it's your system's error. She inhaled like I'd asked her to foot my rent. Ma'am, the system does what it does. It's being reviewed. And how long will that take? She let out a sigh disguised as patience. These things take time. I pressed her again. Can I access my money? I have bills. This is all of my funds. Well, she said, with that tone Americans use when they're about to say something patronizing, maybe next time don't rely on just one account. Things happen. A long, cold silence sat between us. I wanted to snap. But I didn't. I just said, thank you, and hung up. I spent the next 2 days hoping it would resolve itself. Every time I logged in, my chest tightened. The message didn't go away. By Thursday, I called again. This time a man answered. I gave him my name. His first response was, oh, that account. That was my greeting. Not, hello, not, how can I assist you, just, oh. He told me the same line about review and discrepancy. I asked why it was taking so long, if the problem was caused by them. He said something about procedure. And then came the sentence that lit the fuse. Well, sometimes accounts with foreign-sounding names trigger longer assessments. It's not personal. My mind stuttered. I'm sorry, what? He exhaled into the phone like I was being overly sensitive. I'm just telling you, our system is designed to flag certain profiles. It doesn't mean anything about you. But it did. It meant everything. It meant that someone like me could follow the rules, deposit clean money, never overdraft, never cause issues, and still be treated like a potential threat because my last name wasn't Miller or Thompson. For a moment, I didn't even feel anger, just this awful, sinking heaviness. Like I was 13 again, standing in line at the immigration office, being told to speak slowly so they could understand the foreign girl. I ended the call before I said something I'd regret. I sat on my couch, staring at the wall, my teeth clenched so hard my jaw ached. 1 week passed. Then 2. Then 3. Every few days, I'd call again, and every time, it was worse. 1 rep talked to me like I was a child. Interrupting her nail appointment, another kept cutting me off. Mid-sentence to repeat useless. Policies. 1 guy actually chuckled when I told him I needed the money for rent. I started rationing groceries. I postponed bills. I pulled favors. I borrowed cash from a friend just in case. The humiliating kind of just in case, where you don't want to explain why you need it. I wasn't broke. But I was trapped. That's the worst part. They didn't take my money, they just held it hostage behind politeness and procedure. I don't know which day exactly the anger replaced the despair. Maybe it was the day I skipped lunch because I was calculating how long canned soup and rice could last. Or maybe it was when I opened Instagram and saw an ad from that same credit union bragging about being community first and culturally inclusive. I remember whispering to myself in Russian, Oda? Posmatrim. Oh yeah? We'll see. And that's when the storm started forming. One night, I was on a video call with my family back in Russia. I didn't want to worry them, but I needed to talk to someone. My mother went straight into lecture mode. You should have kept your savings split. My father grumbled about Western arrogance. But it was my younger cousin, Misha, who listened with a different kind of attention. Misha is 20. Studying computer science, smart in the way wolves are smart. He likes to tinker with systems, not illegally, but creatively. He knows the internet like most people know their childhood street. He waited until I finished ranting, then asked, "Do they have social media?" I frowned. "Yes, why?" He smirked. "Why don't you make them feel famous?" I laughed. "What am I going to do, leave a bad Yelp review?" He rolled his eyes. "Alina, this is the internet. There are entire websites where people get paid to post whatever you want. You write messages, they post them under different names. Boom. Instant wildfire." I thought he was exaggerating. He wasn't. He sent me a link. A Russian language platform that connects people who will post, comment, or review anything you pay them to. A few rubles per post. 1 ruble is about 1 American cent. Which meant for a few dollars. I didn't act immediately. The idea sat in my mind like a lit match waiting for oxygen. The next morning, I called the bank again. I don't even know why. I think I was testing my own patience. The woman who answered was short, dismissive, and suggested I be more patient and less emotional. That was the oxygen. That afternoon, I sat on my bed with my laptop, opened the site Misha sent, and made an account. There was a list of options: Facebook comments, Google reviews, Instagram replies, LinkedIn complaints. You could choose the nationality, style of the profiles, the posting times, the platforms, the tone. I felt a strange surge of energy. Not happiness. Not vengeance. Focused. I loaded $3. Just 3. Then I opened a document and started crafting messages. I didn't lie in them, I exaggerated nothing. I just told versions of the truth written like separate experiences. I can't access my funds and they keep ignoring me. They treated me like a criminal because of my last name. They froze my account for weeks with no explanation. I tried to get help and the staff laughed at me. I'm warning others not to trust them. I wrote them in different tones. Professional, angry, disappointed, emotional, outraged. I added phrases Americans use. I made up names that blended in: Kelly Thompson, Marcus Reed, Julia Herrera, Michael Dunn, Amy Walters. Misha helped me phrase a few to sound like older customers. Then I pasted the links to every page the credit union had: their Facebook, their Google business listing, their Instagram, their LinkedIn, even a local neighborhood forum where they had posted ads. Before I hit submit, the system showed task in progress. I closed my laptop and made tea like I had just ordered. Laundry detergent online. 2 hours later. I checked. It was like a bomb had gone off, in slow motion but everywhere at once. Their Facebook page had comments under recent posts like mold spreading across a ceiling. Their Google review score started dropping. Instagram posts that normally got 5 likes and no comments were now tiny uprisings of angry text. By evening, new comments appeared faster than they could delete. People started replying to the fake reviews, tagging others, asking, "Is this real?" Some shared the posts. A local community account even reposted one complaint with the caption, "Anyone else having issues with this credit union?" The wildfire wasn't trending, but it was choking them, and I was sitting in sweatpants, eating instant noodles. Watching them drown. That was day 1. By the time I woke up the next morning, things had already escalated. I'm not someone who sleeps in. But that night I passed out around 2 a.m., drained from a cocktail of fury and satisfaction. I rolled over around 8:30 and grabbed my phone, not even intending to check on the situation. Just habit. But the first thing I saw was a notification from Facebook. One of those default alerts you get when a page you've interacted with gets a bunch of comments. I blinked. Tapped it, their latest post, some cheesy graphic that said, "We're here for you," in bold blue letters, had 47 new comments. Not all were from the campaign I launched. That's what made me sit up. Mixed among the scripted ones were organic comments from real people. People I didn't know. Locals. Members. Some polite, some angry, some confused. "Why did my cousin's account get frozen? Yo, I tried calling you guys 3 times this week and nobody picks up." I thought I was the only one. They were starting to connect the dots, and they were doing it publicly. I opened Google Maps next and stared. Their rating, which had been 4.8 stars when I opened my account, had already dropped to 3.9 overnight. By noon, it was 3.4. I didn't add more fuel. Not yet. I just watched. Observed. Let the first wave breathe. I made myself coffee, dark, strong, no sugar. I stood at the window of my small apartment, mug in hand, looking down at the street. People rushing to work, cars honking in the distance, a jogger with neon shoes passing by. Everything outside was normal. Inside, I felt like I had cracked something open in the universe with my bare hands. $3. That was the cost of their unraveling. It wasn't about the money, of course. It was about the disrespect. The dismissal. The way they treated me like a problem to be ignored, a name to be inconvenienced, a voice to be talked over. But now, they couldn't ignore me. They just didn't know it was me yet. I didn't hear from them that day. No calls. No emails. Nothing. That silence made everything louder. By the 3rd day, they started deleting comments. I could tell because the total number of comments on posts would drop by 20 or 30 at a time. But new ones kept appearing. People were copying and pasting the same complaints across multiple posts. Someone even screenshotted a deleted comment and reposted it with the caption, "They're hiding stuff now." I hadn't planned to do more. I thought maybe the point had already been made, but then I got a call that changed my mind. It was Saturday afternoon. I was cleaning my kitchen when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I answered without thinking, hello? A woman spoke with a carefully neutral voice, the type you only hear in customer service or hostage negotiation. Is this, Ms. Ivanova? I froze, yes. This is Kathy from Credit Union name. I'm calling regarding your account status. I could tell, immediately, that she was not the type I'd spoken to before. She sounded older, trained, maybe higher up. But she was still cautious. Polished. Afraid of slipping. I said, I've been trying to resolve this for nearly a month. Yes, well, I apologize for the inconvenience. We've had some, unexpected procedural delays. Procedural delays. The phrase made my eye twitch. I let her continue. I just wanted to inform you that your account review is nearing completion, and we expect full access to be restored soon. How soon? She hesitated. Early next week. I almost laughed. Early next week. After 4 weeks of being dismissed and patronized and told to be patient. I said, I would like a specific date. Well, unfortunately, I don't have an exact, then find someone who does. Silence. The kind that means she's holding the receiver away and glaring at it. She came back, voice slightly tighter. I'm doing you a courtesy by calling directly. I cut her off. No. A courtesy would have been addressing this issue before your staff mocked my name, implied I was suspicious, and left me without access to my own wages. She inhaled sharply. I could almost hear her thinking, how much does she know? Then her tone shifted the way ice cracks under weight. Ms. Ivanova, we are working to resolve your situation. There's no need to escalate matters further. There it was, the confirmation. They had seen the storm. And they assumed I was just a quiet little victim who wouldn't bite back, so they didn't imagine I could also be the lightning. I said. Let me know when the funds are unlocked, and ended the call. She didn't call back that night. I loaded another $5 into the site, not 30. Not 50. 5. And I escalated, this time. I commissioned comments in multiple languages, English, Spanish, Hindi, Arabic, Russian, Portuguese, each claiming the same mistreatment, frozen funds, ignored calls, rude staff, discrimination. I targeted not only their official pages, but also finance forums, Reddit threads, Yelp, even Nextdoor posts. But I didn't stop there. I filed a complaint with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. A real one. Detailed. Documented. Dates, names, quotes. I sent copies to the State Financial Regulatory Office. I even started drafting a story pitch for a local journalist who had covered unfair lending practices before. I wasn't some hysterical customer screaming into the phone. I was a digital ghost with perfect AIM. By Monday, their rating hit 2.8. Then 2.4. Then 2.0. They were drowning. Their ads were being ratioed. Their reputation, carefully curated for decades, was bleeding out in public. And then, on Tuesday, the dam broke. I was making breakfast when my phone rang again. Same unknown area code. I answered, Ms. Ivanova? This is Rick Martin, Regional Manager for Credit Union name. His voice had fake confidence built into every syllable. The kind of man who thinks authority makes him bulletproof. I said nothing. Let him speak. I'd like to personally apologize for the way your account situation was handled. There were internal miscommunications, and your experience does not reflect our standards. I almost clapped. He continued, you'll be pleased to know your funds have been fully restored. The hold has been lifted as of this morning, and you should now have complete access. I didn't thank him. I asked, and the discrimination I experienced? He paused. I could hear papers shuffling, like he was skimming talking points. We take those allegations seriously and will conduct internal training to prevent any future misunderstandings. I let a beat of silence stretch, then I asked, "Why now?" He exhaled. Very slowly. "Because we value all of our members." I smiled even though he couldn't see it. "No," I said softly. "Try again." A longer pause this time. "And then the slip we've received? Significant public feedback. And our board has requested swift resolution of any pending complaints." Ah. There it was. Pressure not from conscience, but consequence. Good. I asked for written confirmation. He agreed to email it within the hour. I told him I expected documentation of the account hold being removed, acknowledgement that no fault was found on my part, and written assurance that no negative record would remain. He said, "Of course." Then he made a mistake. He said, "Now that we've addressed your issue, we hope these online rumors will stop." I tilted my head, as if he could feel it through the phone. "Rumors?" He stumbled. "Well, misinformation. Exaggerated claims online." I let my voice go flat. "I never said anything that wasn't true." He tried to soften his tone. "If someone is spreading, I didn't spread anything," I cut in. "I was silenced for a month. Other people started speaking, and you don't like the sound." He didn't respond right away. So I continued, "You want it to stop? Fix your staff. Fix your system. Fix your arrogance." He started to say something, but I ended the call. I sat there for a moment, phone still in my hand, waiting for the adrenaline to ebb. But it didn't ebb. It evolved, because here's the thing. I wasn't finished. They thought restoring my access was the end of the story, the neat resolution after the third act conflict, but I hadn't decided yet how the story ends. That night, I logged in.my money was there, every cent transferable, withdrawable, usable. I tested a small withdrawal just to feel the cash in my hand again. The bills felt almost warm. Some people would stop there, some people would think I won, but me? I didn't want revenge to end in silence. I wanted it to echo. I didn't rush. That's something people misunderstand about revenge. They think it's about rage, about chaos, about destroying everything in one explosive move. No. Real revenge isn't an explosion. It's a slow, inevitable collapse. It's silence becoming pressure, pressure becoming cracks. Cracks turning into a fault line no one can repair. For the first time in weeks, I slept without grinding my teeth. The next morning, I woke up and checked my email, expecting the written confirmation the regional manager had promised. It was there, a carefully worded PDF full of corporate apologies and phrases like internal miscommunication and unfortunate oversight. Not a single mention of fault. Not a single admission of prejudice. But everything I asked for was in black and white. My funds were released. My account was officially cleared of any flags. No negative records remained. And then, the cherry on top, a $50 customer care compensation. $50. They held thousands of my dollars hostage for a month, and thought 50 made it right. I almost laughed, but I accepted it. Because I already knew what I was going to do next. Before breakfast, I initiated a full transfer of my funds to a different bank, a larger, international one with actual infrastructure and no amateur hour nonsense. I left exactly $1 in the old account, $1 to keep the account technically open. $1 that forced them to maintain me in their system, whether they liked it or not. $1 that said, "I'm not gone. I'm watching." By noon, the transfer was complete, and that's when things got interesting. See, most people in my situation would stop once their money was safe. They'd breathe a sigh of relief, tell the story to friends over wine, and move on, but I don't move on from disrespect. I bury it. I bury it so deep that flowers of consequence grow out of its grave. I contacted my cousin, the one who gave me the idea in the first place. I told him I didn't need more comments posted by the service. What I needed was amplification. We made a list, a beautifully chaotic spreadsheet of every platform the credit union used: Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, LinkedIn, Yelp, Google Maps, Reddit threads talking about local banks, and even Trustpilot. Then we made a second list, places they didn't have accounts, but people talked about them: local Facebook groups, college forums, Russian expat communities, small business owner groups, mommy groups warning each other about scams, Discord servers for immigrant support. I didn't need fake reviews anymore. That phase was over. I switched weapons. Now, I started pushing the truth. I wrote my story in clean, articulate English, not angry, not frantic, not unhinged. Calm, detailed, verifiable. I pointed out the month-long freeze, the discriminatory comments, the refusal to assist, the fact that I was never overdrawn, the silence, the snark, the corporate gaslighting. And then I let the internet do what it does best, spread. My cousin helped me submit the story to a few personal finance subreddits. Someone else reposted it to r/legal advice. Another to r/anti-work. Then r/TFO. Then r/mildly infuriating. I didn't even have to touch most of it. People screenshotted and reshared on their own. Within 48 hours, the story reached tens of thousands of views across platforms. The comments were glorious: name and shame them. I work in banking, this is illegal as hell. Lawyer here. They're lucky she didn't file a discrimination suit. This is why I never trust credit unions. Which bank is this? Because I'm pulling my account tomorrow. One guy wrote, I'm a local business owner and this just convinced me to move $60,000 in company funds somewhere else. That one made me smile, but the real satisfaction came 3 days later. I got another call. This time, it wasn't Kathy or Rick. It was someone higher. I could hear it in the way she said her name. This is Michelle Hart, Vice President of Member Relations. Her tone was sharp, but strained, like someone who hadn't slept. Alina, she began, as though we were friends, I understand your experience with us was unacceptable. Was past tense. As if she could smooth it away with grammar. I stayed quiet. Silence is a weapon too, she continued. We've seen some online activity regarding your situation, and we want to assure you that we're taking steps internally to address everything appropriately. Internally. The corporate equivalent of hiding mold behind fresh paint. Then came the real reason for her call. We'd really appreciate if you could help clarify online that the issue has been resolved, so there's no further misunderstanding. These things can hurt not only our institution, but our members and employees. There it was, not concern, not guilt, not regret, fear. I leaned back in my chair. Phone pressed to my ear. I said, slowly, so you want me to clean up your image? I'm only asking that any misleading or damaging claims be removed or corrected. I almost laughed. I didn't post anything misleading. She tried again, tighter this time. If this continues, we may need to explore legal. I didn't let her finish. Legal action against who? I asked softly. The hundreds of people commenting? The financial watchdogs receiving complaints? The journalists who are already emailing people for interviews? The silence on her end was thick. Heavy. The kind that tastes like panic. I continued. You froze my wages for a month. Your staff mocked my name. You ignored me until it became inconvenient. Now you want me to protect you from the consequences? She exhaled, and I swear I heard the sound of a hand pressing against a forehead. What do you want? I smiled. I already got what I wanted. My money. My dignity. And a lesson delivered. I paused, then added, the internet will decide the rest. And then I hung up. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I didn't curse. I just ended the call. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then? Their rating is down to 1.7 stars. 2 local news outlets have contacted people online asking for statements. 3 former customers have filed their own complaints after realizing their accounts were mishandled. 2 their social media pages are still being cleaned daily. Like someone desperately sweeping water out of a sinking boat. And me? I sleep easily now. Sometimes I check their Yelp page just for fun. Not to add anything, just to observe, and whenever I see another 1-star review pop up from someone I've never met, I think the same thing. Echoes actions echo. Whether you plan them to or not, and theirs finally came back to them. People think revenge ends in a moment, a boom, a breakdown, a dramatic confrontation. But that's not how life works. Real revenge is quiet. It doesn't always come with fireworks. Sometimes, it ends with peace. Yours, not theirs. A week after I hung up on the vice president, I got a letter in the mail. A physical one. Cream-colored envelope. Gold embossed logo. It had that desperate elegance companies use when they're trying to pretend things are under control. I sat at my kitchen table, opened it with a butter knife, and read out a formal apology, not a generic one. This time it actually had my name. My full name. Correctly spelled. They deeply regretted the distress caused by the handling of my account, and were conducting additional internal reviews to improve staff training and member experience. I almost smirked. They didn't write that for me. They wrote it for the regulators. For anyone who might someday ask, how did you respond when this went public? I folded the letter, slid it back into the envelope, and put it in a drawer with my passport and birth certificate. Not because I needed it, but because it belonged in the archives of things I survived. That same afternoon, I walked to my new bank to finalize my account setup. The teller greeted me with a smile that actually reached her eyes. She asked how my day was going. She didn't make a face at my last name. She didn't speak to me like I was a problem. Before leaving, I checked my balance on the app. Everything was there. Clean. Accessible. Mind out. I sat on a bench outside, watching cars pass as late sunlight reflected off the glass buildings. For the first time in weeks, my chest didn't feel tight, not because they fixed it, but because I made them. That night, my cousin called me on video. He was laughing before I even answered. Did you see? He asked. See what? He turned his camera around and aimed it at his laptop. Their Google business page was at 1.5 stars now. Someone had left a review saying, I'd rather keep my money under my mattress than give it to these clowns. I watched the screen, expression calm, heart quiet. He grinned. You're done with them now? I took a moment before answering. Yes, I said. I got what I wanted. And I meant it. I didn't need to keep pushing. Not because they deserved mercy, they didn't, but because I had already taken back what they tried to steal, my control, my voice, my dignity. Their downfall wasn't my responsibility anymore. Consequences would do the rest. A few days later, I withdrew the final $1 from the account and closed it. The teller on the phone asked if I was sure. I told her, absolutely. She didn't ask why. Maybe she already knew. When the confirmation email arrived, I stared at it for a moment longer than necessary. Then I archived it and turned off notifications for anything related to them. Not because I was forgetting, but because they were finished in my story. The last thing I did, the real ending, wasn't loud or dramatic. I booked a weekend trip. Just me, a train ride, and a rented cabin by a lake. No Wi-Fi. No notifications. No banks. On the second morning, I stood at the water's edge with coffee in my hands. The surface was still and glassy. The way calm feels when you've earned it. I thought about that first day, when my card failed, when they dismissed me. When I swallowed my instincts and trusted them, and then I thought about now. I didn't feel rage anymore. I didn't feel bitterness. I didn't feel the need to check their ratings or read their complaints. I just felt finished, and that, I realized, is the best kind of revenge, not their destruction. My peace. People think revenge is about making someone burn, but the real victory is walking away while they're still holding the match. They thought I was powerless because of my name, my accent, my patience. They thought I'd wait quietly and accept whatever they decided. Instead, their precious image shattered in half a day, for the price of a cup of coffee. I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't threaten. I just let the internet do what it does best, destroy perceived perfection, and they will never know it was me. Some people think revenge has to be loud. But silence can be the sharpest weapon. They ignored my voice, so I gave them a chorus of hundreds. Now their reputation is bleeding, and my money is back where it belongs. If that ending made you smile even a little, hit that like button right now. And tell me in the comments, have you ever wished you could make a company regret underestimating you? Don't forget to subscribe for more stories where karma isn't patient. It's precision engineered.